Good day, everyone. This is Galvin speaking. In this presentation, we will speak about ideology of globalization. This presentation will be used for educational use only, and our group is allowing our instructor, Mr. Roldan Ardenes, to use this as educational material. Thank you.
Who is Manfred Streger? Streger was born in Wiener, Nutzdan, Austria, and left his country in 1986 to study in United States. He completed a BA in both religion and political science from the University of Hawaii, Manoa in 1990, followed by an MA in political science from the same university in 1991. He obtained a PhD in political science from Rutgers University with a focus on political theories, comparative politics, and American politics. In addition, Steger research focuses on questions of globalization, global ideologies, transnational political movements, global civil society, and global issues such as global cities, religious globalism, inequality, and human rights, or global justice movement. Globalization refers to the expansion of intensification of social relation and consciousness around across world time and world space. It is a multi-dimensional phenomenon involving economics, politics, culture, ideology, environment, and technology. Globalization is the term to use describe the expansion and strengthening of political ties around the world. Process bring up the significant range of political concern relating to the idea of state sovereignty, the expanding of influence of international organization, the prospect for future regional and global governance that have an impact on our planet. These themes, by responding to the development of political structure outside the confine of the nation state, certainly breaking new conceptual and institutional ground. After all, people having arranged their political disagreement along these territorial boundaries throughout the last few centuries create a sense of belong to a significant nation state.
Now, I'm going to discuss to you about Manfred Streger ideology of globalization. So in the case of Manfred, the ideology of globalization was categorized into four parts, which is the introduction, globalization, six core of ideology of globalization, and the last one was the conclusion. So in this part, I'm just going to focus on discussing about the introduction, globalization, and the conclusion. And Manfred also said that in his introduction about ideology of globalization, state there that the article seeks to establish that globalism not only represent a set of political ideas and also a beliefs coherent enough to warrant of a new ideology. And also, the next one would be globalization, which include process, condition, and ideology. First, let's discuss about the process. When we say process, it is a set of process of economic, social, cultural, technological institution that contribute to the societies and individuals' relationship worldwide. So it is all about social status, the daily livelihood of a human being in a certain society. The next one would be condition. When we say condition, this is doing everything to improve the working condition faced by the working by offering mechanical and such more. So this condition is an idea of giving our employee to be more productive in work by offering them some conditions. Say for example, I'm working in fast food. My manager offered me a promotion. So what I did is do my job well, be a hardworking person, and enjoy the job. The last one would be let me introduce to you the six core claims of globalization, but let's not focus on this part. But let's go ahead and discuss the conclusion. Or it was also stated that it is a reclassifying ideology. So in this part, it is all about experimental exercise designed to bring the insight gained from Steger's critical analysis of globalization to bear in the necessary project, or reclassifying the conventional political belief system. So that is all about um, Manfred Steger idea of globalization or ideology of globalization.
Michael Fredin is primarily known for his work on political ideologies and the analysis of political thought. So, while he may not be widely recognized as a scholar who focuses specifically on globalization, his ideas and perspectives on political ideologies could indirectly inform his thoughts on globalization. So, globalization is a complex and multifaceted phenomenon that can be viewed through various ideological lenses, such as liberalism, conservatism, or socialism. So, different political theorists and scholars may interpret and evaluate globalization differently based on their ideological orientations. Michael Fredin's views on liberal political thought. Michael Fredin is known for his expertise in the study and analysis of political ideologies, including liberal political thought. So, he has made significant contributions to understanding the complexities and nuances of liberalism. So, his work emphasizes also the importance of analyzing ideologies as multifaceted and evolving systems of political thought. Michael Fredin's approach to analyzing ideologies. Fredin's approach to analyzing ideologies focuses on examining the structure, content, and boundaries of different ideological systems. He also developed the concept of morphological analysis to understand how ideologies are constructed and how they interact with one another. So, this approach aims to uncover the diversity and variations within political ideologies. Specific ideologies supported or criticized by Michael Fredin. So, while Michael Fredin's works extensively explores various political ideologies, he is known for maintaining a neutral and impartial stance in his analysis. His approach focuses on understanding the internal differences and debates within ideologies rather than explicitly endorsing or criticizing any particular ideology.
Michael Fredin's sentiments. Michael Fredin is primarily known for his work on political ideologies and the analysis of political thought. While he may not be widely recognized as a scholar who focused specifically on globalization, his ideas and perspectives on political ideologies could indirectly inform his thoughts on globalization. Globalization is a complex and multifaceted phenomenon that can be viewed through various ideological lenses such as liberalism, conservatism, or socialism. Different political theorists and scholars may interpret and evaluate globalization differently based on their ideological orientations. In summary, Michael Frieden's work on ideology emphasizes its complexity, historical context, and the need for a nuanced understanding that takes into account cognitive, normative, and political dimensions. His approach encourages scholars to analyze the language and symbols used in political discourage to uncover the underlying ideologies that shape political beliefs and actions.
Globalization as a phenomenon was seen by scholars as a compression of the world, where the world comes together as a global village in thought and in action. Adrian Apadurai, in his theorization of globalization, challenges this view. He argues that globalization is primarily disjunctive, scalar, and contextual. He defines five basic landscapes that are about people and their migration, ethnoscapes, technology, technoscapes, media, mediascapes, ideology, ideoscapes, and finance, financescapes. Globalization, according to Apadurai, occurs at the points of rupture and disjuncture between these different landscapes. In this context, he defines imagination as a social practice and situates the work of imagination at the center of all globalization processes. Media flows decidedly play a large role in shaping the imagination. Therefore, mediascapes are critical to the understanding of globalization in any given context. Similarly, the flows of capital, of people, of ideologies, and technology help create new imagined worlds that are fluid and capable of producing a globally variable synesthesia. That is, one type of imagined world can trigger similar imaginaries in other parts of the world, yet they possess different shapes and forms. Apadurai's theorization was later criticized for presenting too optimistic a view of globalization, for ignoring its dark side. So in his later work, Apadurai explores the dark side of globalization. In Fear of Small Numbers, he addresses the widespread global violence against minorities and uses frauds, anxiety of incompleteness, to explicate the majority group's predatory behavior. Globalization has deepened this behavior unthought because it intensifies the possibility and related fear of the majority morphing into the minority and vice versa. Collective group identities, therefore, are forever under threat as volatile morphing becomes a reality brought about by rapid global migrations across nations. Apadurai's later work also points in the direction of hope by representing the idea of grassroots globalization, which is happening alongside the pervasive violence. Grassroots globalization is the idea of globalization from below that is done by non-governmental organizations and transnational advocacy networks that work toward reducing the lack of access, injustice, and inequity. Apadurai also offers scholars a new framework for how to do globalization research, which is not fixated on its internationalization, but is focused on questions and inclusive of other worldviews and approaches from around the world.
Apadura's theoretical perspective of five flows, all given the suffix "cape," originates from his field work as an anthropologist, a professor of anthropology at the University of Chicago at the time of publishing Modernity at Large. Apadura's conception of global flow has been highly influential in how the fields of anthropology and sociology define the relationships between individuals, groups of people, and ideas in contemporary society. According to his theory, there has been a dramatic shift in modernity and the movement of people, media, technology, and capital and ideology that has always been present in the world have suddenly increased to a rapid pace with the advent of industrial revolution. And the Enlightenment thought the disjuncture between the five scapes is the
key to understanding the complexities of globalization. Each of the scapes informs the others and are all present to varying degrees in almost any instance of interaction between parties, regardless on how people, global, or widespread the phenomenon is. Corresponding to the aforementioned movements of people, Apadura's terminology follows the ethnoscapes, mediascapes, technoscapes, financescapes, and the idioscapes. Each term is responsible for describing a certain dimension that is manifest in global cultural forces, with ethnoscapes designating the more tangible movement of person who constitute the shifting of world in which we live in, such as tourists, immigrants, exiles. Each succeeding scape is less rooted in physical forms. Technoscape is the global configuration of technology, and in fact, the technology now moves at a high speed across various of kinds of previously impervious boundaries, such as the physical distance separating countries or the natural resources of an area. So necessarily connected to technology, Financescapes describes the temperament of global monetary wealth as a national currencies, a stock exchange, and the move of massive amounts of capital in at ever quickening pace. Apadura's mediascapes and idioscapes, as he describes them, are closely related landscapes of images. Mediascapes refer to both the distribution of the electronic capabilities to produce and disseminate information and the images of the world created by these media. Idioscapes are the most abstract of Apadore's conception of global flows, frequently directly political in nature. Idioscapes have to do with ideologies of states and counter-ideologies of movements explicitly oriented to capture state power or a piece of it. Idioscapes stand in the contemporary global environment. They are derived from an Enlightenment worldview that is composed of elements such as freedom, sovereignty, and democracy. Taken as a whole, Apadura's five flows of globalization act as the building blocks how individuals and groups of people construct a conception of their own movements with a global context.
The five scapes of globalization. So the first notion scapes of Adorai is the ethnoscapes. So ethnoscapes refers to the flow of people across boundaries. So for example, people such as tourists, the economic migrants or refugees. The economic migrants, which is the OFW, who are working abroad to that's all, working abroad, travel out of necessity or in search of better opportunities for themselves and therefore and also for their family. And also the education or fleeing conflict. These movements have a significant impact on the cultural composition of different places, leading to cultural exchange, hybridization, and the coexistence of diverse cultural elements. Next is the technoscapes. So, technoscapes refers to the flow of global technology, a concept coined by Arjun Appadurai in his theory of globalization. They encompass the rapid movement and exchange of electronic and digital technologies. And and the examples are the computers, software, telecommunication, and media context across borders and cultures. So technoscapes play a crucial role in shaping the contemporary globe the contemporary globe landscapes, influencing how people communicate across information and engage with technology on a globe scale.
To continue, the third scapes of Apadurai is the ideascapes, or the global flow of ideas. This can be small scale, such as an individual posting her or his personal views on Facebook for public consumption, or it can be larger and more systematic, Missionaries provide a key example. Christian missionaries to the Amazon region made it their explicit goal to spread the religious doctrines as the experiences of missionary turned anthropologist Daniel Everett show. However, local people do not necessarily interpret the ideas they are brought in the missionaries expect rather, in addition to the fact that all people have agency to accept, reject, or adopt the ideologies that are introduced to or imposed on them. The structure of the language spoken by the Piraha makes it difficult to provide direct translations of the gospel. The fourth scapes is the finances scapes. Finance scapes refers to the flow of money across political borders. Like the other flow discussed by Appadurai, this phenomenon has been occurring for centuries. The Spanish, for example, conscripted indigenous laborers to mine the silver veins of the Potosi mines of Bolivia. The vast riches extracted from this region were used to pay Spain's debts in Northern Europe. The pace of the global transfer of money has only accelerated, and today's transaction in New York Stock Exchange, the Nikkei index, and other such finance hubs have nearly immediate effects on economies around the world. So the last scapes of Appadurai is mediascape, which means mediascape refers to the flow of media across borders. In earlier historic periods, it could take weeks or even months for entertainment and education content to travel from one location to another, from the telegraph to the telephone, and now the internet and myriad other digital communication technologies. Media are the far more easily and rapidly shared regardless of geographic borders. For example, Brazilian telenovelas may provide entertainment on long-distance African bus trips. Bollywood films are shown in Canadian cinemas, and people from around the world regularly watch mega events such as the World Cup and the Olympics. Just like the Philippines mimics other countries and got their ideas of their TV shows from other foreign countries. And that's all the five scapes of Apadurai. Thank you.